Whoa.
All right, so we just took down this big eastern red cedar. The biggest that I've seen on my property. We'll get some measurements here real quick. Say hi, puppies.
Hi.
All right. All right, so 21 inches at the bottom, and it doesn't look like it has any significant heart rot. It's pretty awesome. So let's see if we can get a length on it. It's going to be tricky. All right, so we got about 5 feet here. So we'll start. Actually, this is a little bit further, maybe 6 feet. There is poison in here, so I'm trying to be careful. I've been doing good staying out of the poison. Well, can't find anything to hook it on. How about this rotten part? All right, so that's at least 6 feet. My tape only goes to 50 feet, so I gotta make sure I stop before I run out. All right, so we're 50 feet here, plus 6 feet, 56. And let's see, 6, 12, 14, that would be 70. So a little over 70 foot tall. Probably gets around 72 to 74 feet. So pretty good height. So this I'm going to make into 1x and use it to put a skirting around my current deck and room around my property. So I was trying to not get it to land on this pile, and I almost made it. So just about 5 feet closer than I wanted, but I can easily access it to get it trimmed up and limbed up. So no problem at all. We should be able to get some good lumber out of it. I'll bring you along as we mill it. See you in a minute. Well, good morning. Welcome to Colston River Retreat. Unfortunately, this tree was fairly covered in poison ivy, so I did clear it off a little bit. There's still a few pieces that are kind of embedded in there. We'll find them when we start cutting this thing open. So this tree is one that we just felled in the video that I showed you. Probably, I don't remember, it's been a minute since I recorded that, but it was over 70 feet if I remember correctly. So I cut it into 4 pieces that we can mill. Get you an estimate of that size. I think they're about 12 feet long. All right, so this one's about 12'8", and I got a diameter of probably close to 20 inches on this end. Pretty close on this end. It's about 19 inches. There's definitely a little bit of heart rod in there, but not a lot, which we'll see when we get into it, I guess. The goal for this is to make some siding we're going to use as a skirting around my deck. And so I think probably 1x6 would be pretty close, good dimension for us. So that'll be the target. But I can use pretty much close to any size probably. We'll try to make use of it. Any pieces that we don't mill into siding, I'll try to make like a split rail out of it. Never done that before, but I'd like to try. Mostly for decorative fence, obviously. But looks like there's a little bit of ant action going on here, so we've got to get these ants out of here. But let's get cutting. So for those of you that were keeping track of that blade that I had on here, I think I put it on at 16 hours. I might have forgotten myself. I think it was 16. Anyways, we're at 18.5. I was cutting through a very wavy, horrible red oak, and blade got jammed up, and ultimately, in all honesty, I left the blade in the saw. I'm going to cut it out later with the chainsaw. But that log had knots and too much wave, and it was just destroying the blade. But I think it was pretty close to dead anyway. So that's about 2.5 hours. So this is a brand new blade on there. Still doing those 4 degrees. I did order some 7 degree, which I'll start shortly. But for right now, we'll just go with the 4 degree that we already have. So 18.6, I think, if we're keeping track. All right, so we got another 12-foot log up here. I guess we're gonna go biggest to smallest. So it's obviously 19 inches at that end, 14 inches at this end, so we got a little bit of taper. We may need to use our toe board, although right now it's sitting up pretty high. So let's see what we get out of this one. Forgot I was going to come in here and scoop this with my tractor before I got all started, but I forgot. I got excited about cutting and getting on the sawmill. So before I got started today, I did a bunch of, oh gosh, that was close. So I did a bunch of maintenance. So I got my grease gun out, greased all the fittings that I could find, oiled the rail, the chain. So maintenance. Okay, dokie, folks. All right, it's another day. Obviously, I'm wearing different clothes, but just getting all in the sun here. I'm wrapping up this cedar project and wanted to give you guys an update. So, and a fat lot of sawdust. So it looks pretty good until you look a little close, and then it's not so good. But like some boards like this, really nice. But a lot of them not nice. I'm not so sure I'm a huge fan of cedar, at least not the cedars that I have. We'll see when I put it to use on the project and see how it comes out, but I'm not super confident that it's going to look very good. So we end up with almost 100 of the 1x boards. Then we ended up with the 4 1-inch and 4 1.5 inch, just because of how it milled out to the cant when it was getting close to the deck. So we'll see how it looks in the end. I would say from 2 trees, gave us 5 logs. From those 5 logs, we got, a little over 100 boards. Hopefully that will be enough to do what we need to do around the deck, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like when it's done. It doesn't have to be perfect. I wouldn't put this inside of a house or a closet or something like that with the quality of wood that I have, but for an outside around a deck, might work. And it smells wonderful. So, all right, guys, God bless you. Have a great day.